Hello, I'm David Bryant, and I'm delighted to be associated with this programme, The Story of Bowls. We have clips from the World Championships and Commonwealth Games and grainy footage from the dim and distant past. We even have clips of my national championships at Paddington and Mortlake. Who better to take you through the story of bowls than my long-time pairs partner, the well-known BBC Bowls broadcaster, the voice of bowls, David Rhys Jones.
In part one, we're going to concentrate on how bowls started as an outdoor sport. Then we're going to look at some of the great moments, the Jack High Masters, the Commonwealth Games, the World Outdoor Championships. And then in part two, we're going to look to see how it's developed and modernised and moved indoors. It's appropriate that David Bryant, who has won the world singles title indoors 3 times and 3 times outdoors, plus 5 Commonwealth Games gold medals, has agreed to share with us his experiences, memories and views on the sport. We're here in David's hometown of Clevedon, the place where he started playing bowls as a teenager and where he still plays at the age of 71.
Clevedon's a very, very special place for me because I was born and bred in Clevedon, and you know, I've always been connected with the town and everything I've done in sport virtually. And my grandfather was a founder member of the Clevedon Bowling Club, and my father joined when he was 16. And eventually I joined when I was 16, but I started playing bowls at a very early age. I was about 7. My first title was the first year I started playing bowls at Clevedon Club, not when I was 16 years of age. I played on the Promenade Green before that, but my father wouldn't let me join the Clevedon Bowling Club because it had licensed premises, and he said, when you're 16, you can join.
Why couldn't I have done that?
I'm just going to lick my fingers then to take the chalk mark off. I think you can get out of bowls exactly what you want to get out of it. I think you can play it competitively, but the whole bowling fraternity are absolutely superb in my opinion. I think it's a wonderful game to play. It's got everything.
So let's start at the beginning with some facts that might surprise you. The Egyptians, they say, started playing with knuckle bones, a game which is probably more connected to our modern day marbles. But that was the forerunner of all sports that involve a rolling ball. Bowls, boule, pétanque, 10-pin bowling and all forms of skittles.
Yes, I've played skittles for many, many years. When quite recently the Clevedon Promenade Bowling Club had a new pavilion, and I found them skittling one night down there, and I said, well, I used to play skittles, I wouldn't mind joining. So they say, well, please come along, and I'm very pleased to say that I go there regularly and I enjoy a game of skittles and a few drinks, and well, there's the same kind of camaraderie in skittles as there is in bowls. It's a wonderful night out.
In the Dark Ages, it's said that the barbarians used to indulge in an activity not unlike bowls. After a presumably successful battle, they'd cut the heads off their opponents and roll them at the nearest handy object. And you know, there's something very primitive about throwing and hitting a target. When kids go down the beach, what do? They pick up a pebble and throw it to see if they can hit that rock. Bowls was played by a succession of monarchs, and there is a Royal Household Bowls Club in the grounds of Windsor Castle to this day.
Where at the Miners' Welfare Centre, the Queen is invited to test her aim on the bowling green. Her Majesty sends down a wood that would please many a professional.
Some say bowls was illegal in 1588, when Sir Francis Drake made sure that bowls was recorded in the annals of English history. Everyone knows the story of how Drake dallied on Plymouth Hoe, audaciously finishing his game of bowls before taking on the Spanish Armada. The fact that some historians maintain that it was all fiction makes no difference. It's a great story. Of course, if the story is true, Drake's bowls would have been biased. That means shaped to run in a curve. Now we know this because William Shakespeare, who must have played bowls, often referred to bias. I'm often asked, what was the origin of bias?
Well, the tale goes that Charles Brand, the Duke of Suffolk, was playing a game of bowls in Goole in Yorkshire, and they must have been getting fairly close to the jack because there was a lot of firing that took place, and one fellow was, really having a go, and he was putting it down with such force that one of the bowls fell in half. And that they were, quite devastated. They wondered what to do, and all of a sudden somebody had a brilliant idea, and he disappeared into the building, and he took a saw with him, and he sawed off the balustrade at the bottom of the staircase. And he came out and he continued playing with this bowl. But suddenly he realised he had an advantage because this bowl inscribed an arc and he could get round the bowls that were in front of the jack. So he was using this to good advantage, and obviously it caught on because after that everybody wanted a set of bowls like that.
It's away to a flying start with the opening of the English Championship. Now is the time when all good men of the woods should come to the aid of the little jack. Practically every county has sent a contingent, and most of the players seem to be getting a run for their money. Hold it. It's difficult not to show a little bias.
And another question we get asked regularly is, why is the little white ball called the jack?
It can be Kitty, Kate, Cot, Pot, or even White, but I think the most widely used is Jack.
Before bowls was refined into a proper game, there was another activity which involved the throwing of stones along country lanes. It was called jactu lapidum. From the Latin, jactu to throw, lapidum meaning stone. That's what the origin of the word jack is, or so people say, but nobody knows for sure. Bowls didn't have a general and universal set of rules until halfway through the 19th century, 1849 to be precise, when a Scottish solicitor, William W. Mitchell, drew up a code of laws of the game.
Yes, William Mitchell's new laws of the game really sort of unified bowls in Scotland and did so much for encouraging the game to develop. And of course, following on from that was the formation of the Scottish Bowling Association in 1892. And Scotland, I suppose, really were the forerunners.
It wasn't long before the sport experienced its biggest boom, and there was one man who was particularly influential in the formation of the English Bowling Association in 1903. Not a lot of people in bowls, or outside bowls for that matter, are aware of the role played in the development of the sport by one of the world's greatest cricketers. Almost single-handedly, the famously bearded and formidable cricketing doctor founded the English Bowling Association in 1903, and he represented England in the first 6 home international series between 1903 and 1908. WG was also keen on developing the sport as an indoor activity and was largely responsible for the formation of one of the first indoor bowls clubs at Crystal Palace. But bowls was also recognised as a good exercise and played its part as a therapy for soldiers returning from the front during the First World War. The first chapter of the modern era and the emergence of the sport's most prodigious talent came in 1962 when David Bryant won 2 gold medals at the Commonwealth Games in Perth. Winning the fours with Tom Fleming, Leslie Watson and Sid Drysdale, he won all 13 games to take the singles title in style. David has happy memories of Perth.
But the first Commonwealth Games was 1962. It wasn't until 1958 that, how can I put it, good sides were selected to go to the Commonwealth Games because it was usually people who could afford to pay their fare. But bowls moved forward a little bit in 58 when the team was selected to play at Cardiff, and our fours did very well and they actually won the gold medal. In 1962, I had won the British Isles singles in 61 and got back into the international side because I had been dropped. And in 62, we did very, very well in the internationals. We played the 3 games against Scotland, Ireland and Wales, and I think we were plus 60 shots or something in that region, which was a very good performance. And I also won the British Isles singles the same year. And they decided, they picked the 4 of us to go to Perth. And of course Perth was very, very special. I suppose it was a market town in those days more than a city, although it was called the City of Lights because Colonel Glenn crossed over there in his spaceship and we saw the lights. It was the City of Lights, but we heard about it. But when we arrived, we were absolutely captivated. It was such a beautiful place with the Swan River, and the greens were magnificent, and it was very, very blowy and wet. I remember when we arrived. They'd never known temperatures so low. They were in the lower 50s, but by the time we came home, the temperature had gone up to 102. And we were playing bowls in that kind of heat, and I remember we were bowling our bowls and going under the stand to shelter, then starting going down to playing the next lot of bowls. Because at that time I was playing second and Tom Fleming was leading, and Sid Drysdale and Leslie Watson were third in skip, and we were the front end, so we could get off the green and get in the shade.
The absence of bowls from the Commonwealth Games in 1966, because there are no bowling greens in Jamaica, was thought to be a big blow to the sport. But it turned out to be a blessing in disguise.
Well, the first World Championships in '66 took place purely and simply because bowls wasn't in the Commonwealth Games in Jamaica. Bowls had been in the Commonwealth Games right from the beginning, back in the 30s. But there were no greens in Jamaica, so there were no bowls. So the Australians felt so strongly about it that they decided that they would like to hold the World Championship. So it was talked about at International Bowling Board level, and it was decided that they should go ahead, and they held the actual event at Kaima in Sydney. And I was delighted to go along. I was at my first World Championship, and they did it so well. It was a brilliant tournament. I can't remember exactly how many teams took part, but it was a round robin in those days. It wasn't a knockout, and I managed to win the singles.
The green is very fast this afternoon, and that one looks a little thin. Bryant is usually at his best when the green is a bit merry.
Yes, Australian and New Zealand. New Zealand greens are even quicker. I just like fast bowling greens, and I now feel that I play much better bowls indoors than I do out.
In 1970, when the Commonwealth Games was held in Edinburgh, it was business as usual for bowls, and David was at it again, winning the singles title for the second time. Now, grassroots bowlers may be interested to learn that on his way to the title, he committed one of the cardinal sins of bowls.
I bowled a wrong bias in Edinburgh in the games in 1970. It was a very, very tight game. I was playing an Irish international named Roy Fulton, who at that time was a very fine player and had a very fine record in British Isles Championships. I always knew it was going to be a hard game, but 3 parts of the way through the game, when we were fairly tight, Roy had won the end, and he put up a longish jack, and he bowled off, got a bowl quite close to the jack. I put a bowl down, and I was narrow, and I went across perhaps a yard jack high. Roy drew another one. I then decided that I had to correct my green, so I gave it a bit more green, and to my horror, the ball ran straight. It didn't come back at all. Roy drew a third shot, and I was now in dead trouble. I thought, well, I've got to get this right, and I very, very deliberately placed myself on the mat, got my feet lined up, absolutely perfect. Got the bowl away, spot on the point of aim which I intended, only to see it drive an arc in the wrong direction. I bowled a wrong bias. Of course, Roy draws another one. I've now got the last bowl to play, and he's holding 4 shots, and that's game. That's good enough. So all I could do was do exactly the same as I'd done with the third bowl, but make sure I had the right bias. And thankfully, I put it right on top of the jack. And was I relieved? I was absolutely ecstatic because I was gone if it hadn't been good.
The notion of a World Championship had by this time been firmly established, and the second World Bowls was held in Worthing in 1972, with David defending his title. It was not a good campaign for the Clevedon man, and the title was won quite deservedly by Maldwyn Evans, a school teacher from the Rhondda.
There it is at the moment, 2 shots to Mal Evans for Wales, unless Ireland's Roy Fulton, with his 4th and final bowl, can disturb that 2 shots lead there. It is match to Evans for Wales. What will Fulton try, Harold? To draw
I think
shot?
he will try and draw a shot. He may try to fire it, of course, if he can see it. He's trying to draw it.
On the backhand. And
He's a good line for it.
Coming in. It's not quite enough green, Harold. And that looks like it to me. I think, yes, Evans, very joyful there, throws his hands in the air, goes over to Fulton, who's given him a very tough match in this particular Welsh-Irish clash. But it's victory for the 11th time for Welsh Mal Evans.
And so with bowling and victories like that, it's Mal Evans, the schoolmaster from the Rhondda in Wales, who takes the gold medal from His Grace the Duke of Norfolk and wins the most coveted title in the game, singles champion of the world.
Our fours did very, very well. They were very, very successful. Norman King, Cliff Stroud, Ted Hayward and Peter Lyne played brilliantly right throughout and won the gold medal in no uncertain manner.
Peter Lyne now with 1 wood left. 1 wood to go for England, 1 for Ireland in this terrific battle. The crowd going literally mad.
The pressure really is on now, with Jimmy Denison having to save probably the gold medal as well as the game.
A lot of responsibility, Harold, on the
Here comes
head
Peter.
of these two captains. Peter Lyne with his last wood. And again, he's tried to put in a stopper by the look of it, Harold.
Yes, oh yes, that's to stop the drive.
The final wood, then, of this match between England and Ireland at the hands of the Irish skip, Jimmy Denison.
He's missed
it completely.
He's missed it, and England have won.
England have won. 4 shots they have, so they come out the winners of that particular match by 1 shot. 16 shots to Ireland's 15.
So Peter Lyne skipping his team not only to victory in that match against South Africa, but also to the gold medal and the Fours Championship of the World. Peter Lyne, Cliff Stroud, Ted Hayward and Norman King, the world champions in the Fours.
2 years later, it was off to Christchurch in New Zealand for the Commonwealth Games. David kept up his incredible games record by winning the singles, his 3rd consecutive singles gold medal. John Christie and Alex McIntosh won the pairs.
The big match in the pairs featured the New Zealanders, Phil Skoglund and his partner Bob McDonald. The New Zealanders were playing John Evans of Torquay and Peter Lyne from Southampton. And the England pair missed a great chance of the gold when they dropped this, their 2nd match of the Games, by just 2 shots, 21 to 23. Peter Lyne, who won a gold medal in Edinburgh 4 years ago. And despite this sort of firing, the England pair couldn't find the necessary shots they needed. So Scotland had won gold and bronze, and they made it a hat-trick in the singles. Willie Wood, the motor mechanic from Midlothian, bowled intelligently and accurately to beat Dala of Hong Kong 23-8 after 18 ends, and pushed world champion Mal Evans of Wales out of the bronze medal position. But the day belonged to David Bryant, the 40-year-old man from Bristol who won his first national singles title at Paddington in 1957. He won this title in Perth in '62. Today he faced the veteran Percy Jones of New Zealand. And after an initial shock, he won 21 shots to 8. So it was David Bryant, acknowledged as the greatest bowler in the world, who took the gold medal on a day in which England and Scotland had won 2 golds, a silver and 2 bronze.
In bowls terms, there was a real battle for supremacy between the southern and northern hemispheres, with New Zealand and Australia challenging the UK countries. But South Africa too were out to prove that they were the best, and they had their chance in 1976 when the World Championships were held in Zoo Lake in Johannesburg.
The 3rd World Championship in Johannesburg in 1976 was a very, very special championship. It was absolutely superbly put together. The greens weren't brilliant, far from it, but everything else about it was. Put stands up, which on the finals day accommodated over 10,000 spectators. England did quite well. We came back with a silver medal in the triples. I had a bronze medal in the singles. Our pairs had a medal, and although we didn't have a goal, we couldn't have a goal because South Africa won the lot. They cleared the board completely, and my only satisfaction at the end, I had to play Doug Watson on that finals day in front of 10,000 people, and I managed to inflict his only defeat, 21-10.
We're reaching the time now when TV was beginning to show an interest in bowls, and BBC coverage helped the English Bowling Association launch the Jack High Masters, a marvellous singles event at Worthing.
Dick Folkins is not going to reach.
First under the sponsorship of Kodak, and then of Gateway and Woolwich Building Societies, the Masters lasted 12 years.
Bryant changing to the forehand.
And the winner on 9 of the 12 occasions was none other than David Bryant.
Good delivery. Good deliveries from Bryant.
They even got to calling it the Bryant benefit.
Yes. 3 shots this could be the last end of the match. It all depends on this bow from Folkins.
It could be the last bowl of Dick Folkins here in this tournament at Worthing. Bryant, remember, only needs 2. He's laying 3. It's coming in. Is it weighty? Is it carrying? No, it's gone through. He's lost it. Brilliant try by the veteran American, but it's David Bryant. Yet another title for this master of this game. Bryant, first winner of this new Kodak Masters Bowls tournament here in Beach House Park, Worthing, and a deserved winner.
It's worth having a look at some of the BBC's highlights from the days of the Jack High event.
It's running, it's running, it's running. Bransky's got his hands up, and he's lost it. And Bryant's the champion. Wow, what a finish. A wonderful ball. And Bransky, as I said, was living on borrowed time. Really made a fight of that and produced a real climax to this Masters. But once again, David Bryant is the champion. And there it was, last day, a bit of drama to end another Jack High. £5,500 to David Bryant, unbeaten throughout. Still very much the master at Worthing. And his record is remarkable from the start of it all in 1978, when the Masters began to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the EBA. Bryant, the champion, beating Dick Folkins of the United States. 1979, Bryant, the champion, beating David McGill of Scotland. 1982, champion for the 3rd time, John Snell of Australia, the victim. 1984, Bryant beats Peter Bellis of New Zealand.
In 1985, he beat Cecil Bransky in the final, and in 1987, it was Wyn Richards' turn to succumb.
Without any doubt, Bryant is still the master of the Masters.
History was made in 1978 when David won the Commonwealth Games singles title for the 4th time in succession. Remember, there was an enforced gap in 1966 when Bowles was missing from the lineup in Jamaica. We can show you an interview between Harry Carpenter and David Bryant from Edmonton before the event got underway.
What keeps you going in terms of incentive, wanting to keep on playing and wanting to keep on winning?
Well, it's certainly not as easy, I think, perhaps as getting there. Well, that sounds rather ridiculous, but to get there, to become world champion or Commonwealth champion, you have a ladder to climb. Having climbed that ladder, it's hard to stay there. But I think the enjoyment of playing top-class competitive bowls, the enjoyment of going to various countries and meeting other top sportsmen, I think this is an incentive to stay there.
Have you ever been beaten in the singles in the Commonwealth Games?
Yes, I have. My first Commonwealth Games in 1962, I won all my matches, but I have lost 3 games in Commonwealth Games. I lost 1 at Edinburgh and I lost 2 at Christchurch.
And that would be out of how many?
Well, I can only sort of guess roughly at 47, 48 games.
Now, without any modesty, are you the man they've all got to beat? Are you the favourite?
Well, let's say I'm the holder, and I feel as I've got as good a chance as anybody. But as I say, you know, bowls is the biggest leveller. You've got 4 bowls, the other man's got 4 bowls, anything can happen. And we're playing in Canada, and I expect the Canadian representative's going to have something to say about it, don't you?
Do you really want that gold medal?
I should be trying.
If Bryant achieves another gold, this quiet man will probably permit himself little more than a shy grin by way of celebration. In fact, it will be a remarkable piece of Games history, a story of triumph spanning 16 years.
And of course, David didn't let Harry down. He won 14 of his 15 matches and collected his 4th Commonwealth Games singles gold medal. These shots of what turned out to be a crucial encounter with Australia's John Snell are all we were able to unearth from the archives.
Yes, I missed the next 2 because I turned professional in 1980. The game went open in 1980, and I turned professional, as did several other people, and that, of course, meant that we couldn't compete in the Commonwealth Games. We could compete in lots of other things. There was prize money was appearing on the scene for the first time, so we had, you know, benefits in other ways. But unfortunately, the Commonwealth Games, which had been, how can I put it, my most successful event, was no longer available to me.
Outdoors in 1980, World Bowls returned to Australia, which suited David down to the ground. At Frankston, not only did he walk off with the singles title that he'd first won 14 years before, but he also won the triples title with two youngsters, Jim Hobday and, a name we were to hear a lot more about, Tony Allcock.
I learnt an awful lot. We are very different characters, and to that end, very different style of play. But David taught me a lot about the psychology of the game. He was way ahead of his time with respect to that subject. He knew, how to quietly employ gamesmanship whilst it wasn't being noticed. And indeed, he knew exactly what strings to pull to manipulate the situation, to knock the opposition off a rhythm. He certainly knew all those, and I was learning quickly. And of course, I was young, I was fresh, and I had youth on my side. And coupled with the years of experience that had been applied from David onto the advent of youth, made quite a phenomenal combination.
After a lot of English success, it was the turn of the Scots to hit back. David Bryant missed the Commonwealth Games in Brisbane in 1982, and his great friend and rival Willie Wood took advantage to walk off with the singles title.
Exceptionally well with his lead delivery. What a moment for the 43-year-old from Gifford near Edinburgh. Bronze and silver from the Games back at home. Here he goes. He's gone wide, but he's got the arc, has he? Oh, it's running and running and running, but it's there, surely, that's there. It's all over. Willie Wood, gold medalist. Waves to this giant crowd. The Scottish flags and banners are flying just down beneath us here. What a Commonwealth Games it's been for Scotland.
Scotland also won the pairs through John Watson and David Gourlay Sr., and Australia won the fours.
And there it is, gold for Scotland in the pairs. Here at the victory ceremony in the evening at Maruka, John Watson and the skip David Gourlay, who caught the imagination of the crowds here with the way they play this game of bowls. They had a fright last night when they lost out to Northern Ireland, came through again today, and there they are, gold for Scotland. Gold in 74, silver in 78, and now Watson and Gourlay bring Scotland gold here in 82.
In the World Championships in Aberdeen in 1984, Peter Bellis won the singles for New Zealand. Stan Espy, Sammy Allen and Jim Baker won the triples for Ireland, and an English quartet skipped by Tony Allcock won the fours. In the pairs, won by the United States, there was a player from Scotland, George Adrain, playing as a substitute, and he won a gold medal. The final of the singles ended in high drama, the score 20-20, and a measure for shot, match and championship. They called for the brand new sonic measure, but it all ended in failure, and they resorted to the handheld measure. Peter Bellis won it and triumphed 21-20. Now for some clips from the Commonwealth Games at Ball Green in Edinburgh. Willie Wood wasn't there because he'd been deemed to be a professional, though just down the road at the Meadowbank Stadium, amateurs like Seb Coe, Steve Ovett and Daley Thomson strutted their stuff.
They were accepting big money that they were putting into this so-called trust fund, and well, they weren't breaking the rules, but they were bending the rules sort of thing, and I had to sit and watch. I had to go out at the end of the day because I had accepted money and there was just no way I could stay in the team.
No point in firing this time. He's got to draw to it and possibly move the jack slightly as well. He's a little heavy, he must be on line. And he's knocked it in and it's all over. Gold to Ian Dickerson of New Zealand.
Wendy Line won the singles for England. But there was an extra surprise in store for Scotland's Henry McCrone when she collected the silver medal. The World Outdoor Championships in 1988 saw David Bryant emerge as a singles champion for the third time, at the expense of Willie Wood, and in the most dramatic way. Willie, who lost 21-20 to Peter Bellis 4 years before, led David 21-12, but the new goal was 25 shots, and David took the lead at 22-21, before Willie levelled the scores at 22-22. And that was when the monsoon started.
And a few visitors from the shorelines here as well.
1988, they changed the rules to 25 shots in the singles, and I was leading my idol, again, David Bryant, 21-12. If it had been 21, I would have been the champion, but the heavens opened up and the rain came down and flooded the greens, and we came off at the score was, I think, 22-all. If I remember right, and we were off for an hour and a half, started the game again, and I thought I had played one of the best ends of the whole game.
Well, the talk around the greens during that break is that one player could come out and score 3 shots and it can be all over in one end, which of course would be sad for the other player. But that's the name of the game. Willie Wood has 2, and he still has 2.
We're probably very lucky that the game had advanced as far as it has, because we believe that there may be some more rain about. So at least it'll be nice to reach a conclusion when many of us thought here, if it continued like it was, there's no such thing, we know, but looking like a shared trophy.
Third bowl to Wood. Remember, he won the end prior to the break, so he delivered the jack to his length. David Bryant, can he take the weight off? Both the first bowls, the rain comes down again. He's going to drive, he's going to look to split the 2 shot bowls. Here it comes. Close, got them both. England have shot.
After the break, in the new conditions, David Bryant comes out and fires like a Bisley marksman. Gets the split. Just look how accurate this was. Wanted both of them and had to get both of them by splitting them like that. And now David Bryant holds the shot.
Willie Wood looking to get it back for Scotland. The crowd will tell you that Scotland have shot.
Well, all sorts of possibilities for David Bryant here. He can fire out the shot bowl and score 1. He can trail the jack and make 3, which I don't need to remind you would give him the World Championship. Or he could settle for drawing the shot.
Bryant going for the shot bowl. Gone. He's got it again, and he's got both the Scottish bowls out. David Bryant is the new champion of the world. What a shot. What a result! David Bryant has won the championship of the world for the 3rd time.
I'd done everything right, and I finished up with no balls on the green. David Bryant didn't even know he had won. He drove, all my balls just went off the green. An incredible shot. More lucky than accuracy, I would say, but that's the way the game goes.
And I decided that as I had 2 balls left, I would drive at the bowls, and if I dipped underneath, I'd get the jack. So I drove at the bowls, and I took the 2 of them off the green, and my own bowl stayed on. So Willie has got 1 bowl on the green, and I've actually got the shot. Not a very good shot, nothing anywhere near the jack. So Willie draws the shot with his last bowl, but he bowls it just short of the jack again. And I look at it and I think, well, if I drive this wood out, I get the shot. If I go underneath and I hit the jack, I might get 3. So I drove it, and I hit it again, and I drove it through onto his other bowl. That took his other bowl out, and my own bowl, and his bowl stopped. And my own bowl followed through, hit his bowl again, and hit it off the green. He didn't have a wood on the green. And I had 3 woods on the green, and that was it.
Pakuranga was not a good hunting ground for UK bowlers when the Commonwealth Games was held in New Zealand in 1990.
Robert Weale likes it. It's coming back. He's got it perfectly. Oh! What's he done? It's still only 1.
Scotland provided the only bright spot, winning the men's 4s, while Australia's Rob Parrella and Papua New Guinea's Giwa Vada Tau won the men's and women's singles titles.
Looks easy, doesn't it? For the first time, we see Parrella standing up and using that huge, aggressive pendulum action, and here goes. It's the big gun at last. So accurate. Hardly ever misses a thing, Parrella, with that drive, and believe me, it's not as simple as it looks.
2 years later, when the Women's World Championships were in Ayr and Worthing hosted the men's, Margaret Johnston and Tony Allcock won the 2 singles titles. Scotland's women won the triples and 4s at Ayr, and Scotland's men won pairs, 4s and Leonard Trophy at Worthing. In the men's singles final, Allcock looked down and out when Corsie led 2014, but a spirited fight back saw the Englishman take the lead at 22-20, and we join it when he needs just 2 shots for victory at 23-20.
Well, but needs a couple for the championship. Richard Corsie needs 5, and Richard won't give in. Even though Tony's lead bowl is a pretty good one. Drawing response. Not quite reaching.
Well, that is a bad bowl. It's he's not in the way, but if Tony drops round it, as he may well do, to score another good shot, it's going to be a hindrance to Richard Corsie.
It's a hindrance to Tony Allcock as well.
Yes, it's getting blocked up, but Tony won't mind that. He's got the wood on top of the jack. And if he gets through the port, he's good. Well, he's going to push it up, but doesn't really help a lot.
It's a difficult head for both bowlers now, David.
Yes, it's gradually getting cluttered up. But Tony knows that he holds 1 shot, and with such a difficult head, if he can get another one in, he'll be holding down.
Well, he chose the backhand first 2 bowls, and I feel that if he can find a track outside the short bow, he could get another on that. Backhand it is. Can he thread past his own short bow?
He's done it. He's done it. That's it.
Tony Allcock holding 2 shots. It's a championship win in live.
What a great chance. Very difficult shot for Richard Corsie.
Might he use weight, David?
He's got to try and open it up to give himself any chance at all, I feel. Well, that's the worst result he could have got. Didn't move a thing. Now, Tony has a fantastic chance.
One bowl each left to play. Tony Allcock holding two he needs. May draw a third to give himself one to spare, David, in case one's removed.
Won't want to move anything in front. It's got to be perfect.
A similar line to the previous bowl.
Heavy. Gone round the back in case the jack moves.
Richard Corsie, last bowl at the end. This bowl to stay in the championship.
Well, he's got to get a lot of luck with this. He's better, but he's got to be fortunate if he's going to save the game.
He's outside. He's outside. So Tony Allcock gets the 2 shots he needs to win the World Singles Championship. He's 25, Richard Corsie 20. What a marvellous game of bowls it was.
What a comeback.
Tony Allcock was 14-20 down and won 25-20.
At the 1994 Commonwealth Games in Victoria, the men's singles final was a repeat of the 1992 World Final. Allcock against Corsie. But first, let's have a look at the women's singles final, in which Margaret Johnston from Ireland faced Rita Jones from Wales.
3 she needs.
Just you got to throw a rower.
Rita Jones skipped her Gilfach Bargoed 4 to the Welsh national title 2 years running. Went on to win the British title. Better length with that one, but missed her line. Still 2 to Margaret Johnston of Northern Ireland.
Can she draw a third and establish a gold-winning lie?
Margaret Johnston lives just down the road from Jackie Smith, the Northern Irish men's singles representative in Macrofelt, and she plays for the Provincial Towns Club indoors at Ballymoney.
And she's holding game.
So a lie of 3 shots for
No.
Margaret Johnston.
Oh, half a foot in front.
Enough to take it to 25. And Rita Jones with just 1 bowl left. She must save with this if she's to keep her hopes of the gold medal alive.
Using weight, hoping to make a contact. Does so, takes 1 out. But Margaret's got a bowl left. And the bowl in her hand can give her Commonwealth gold without right of reply.
Now what Rita was really wanting there, I imagine, was to take the jack through rather than just 1 bowl out.
Yes.
Taking 1 bowl out and leaving Margaret Johnston with 2 shots gives the talented Irishwoman, the world outdoor singles and pairs champion, a marvellous opportunity of winning the game by drawing this bowl to within 18 inches of the jack. Holding 2, needing 3.
She likes it, running after it. Good line.
Easy, girl, easy.
Good weight. She's in.
And a tremendous bowl from Margaret Johnston to finish it off. 3 shots there, a match-winning treble for Margaret Johnston. She adds the Commonwealth title to the World Outdoor Singles title she already holds.
As for that needle match between Richard Corsie and Tony Allcock, it was bubbling along nicely. Corsie had just scored a double to lead 22-20 and needed just 3 shots to win the title. Richard Corsie so keen to reverse the result of the World Outdoor Singles Final at Worthing 2 years ago. In pole position now, 22-20 in front, needing 3 shots for victory. In the final at Worthing, Richard Corsie led 20 shots to 12, and it was Tony Allcock who finished with a marvellous burst and put 13 shots together without reply to win 25-20. Corsie out for revenge.
At this stage leading 22-20. But Allcock holding shot. Stressing again that both the bowlers have preferred this side of the green, forehand in this direction, backhand the reverse direction. And first to control that hand has generally controlled the end.
2 shots to England.
And Tony Allcock holding 2.
Yes, and that last bowl of Allcock, which has faded across, is just as good as the one on the jack. It counts, and it's left a big gap. Nothing really for Richard Corsie to fire at. We know how good he is at that firing shot, but we haven't seen much of it in this men's singles final.
Yeah, they've both been pretty restrained.
Cheers drifting over from the velodrome next door as Richard Corsie tries to get second bowl. And surely does.
And succeeds.
1 shot to England.
And he finishes in a very good position. And Tony Allcock needing to play with a certain amount of care. Switching to the backhand because of the position that bowl finished, that last bowl of Richard Corsie. Springs his own nearer, holding 2.
And that, I don't think, was in the script.
No, it was route A to the back bowl that Tony intended to play.
So a bit of good fortune there for the Englishman, trailing by 2 shots, but holding 2 shots in the head. Richard Corsie from the Craig and Tinney Club in Edinburgh. Former British junior champion, 3 times world indoor singles champion.
Corsie switching to the backhand, hoping to collar the jack. He's got a bowl waiting if he can. And he has.
A sublime bowl from Richard Corsie, playing a hand he didn't know particularly well.
If he's holding 3, he's holding game, David.
And I think it is 3. We'll wait to see what Marker Dave Phillips says. Yes, he's intimated it's 3 shots to Scotland, and the strangulated cheers there tell you that 3 shots mean victory for Richard Corsie, unless Tony Allcock can say something with this final delivery.
Match-winning lie set up with a perfect bowl. Allcock's final reply of the end and of the match if he misses.
He's got the gap, and for the first time we see some emotion from Richard Corsie. He's not the most talkative type, but he jumped in the air then. It was Suzanne who congratulated him first from the crowd. 3 shots, what a way to go out. That trail from Corsie making a treble. Suzanne, his wife there,
in the crowd, delighted with his performance. And it's Richard Corsie who has turned the tables on Tony Allcock. Allcock won the world final 25-20. The same score. Richard Corsie beats Allcock 25-20 and wins the gold medal. And this was the desperate firing shot from Tony Allcock, much wider than we would have expected him to be. Passing all stations, leaving the 3 shots there. Richard Corsie from Scotland is the Commonwealth Games champion.
There he is with young Cameron. His wee son.
In Kuala Lumpur in 1998, John Price was favourite to win the gold medal. But Roy Garden, a relatively unknown Zimbabwean, had other ideas.
So now John Price is looking at saving the match.
Forehand for Price. He must reach. With a trail, he could make 2 shots.
Turned his back on it in disgust, and no wonder. One in, one out. I don't think it's the 3 he needs. Certainly 2, though.
That's a little bit of a let-off for John Price there. It looked as though the Zimbabwean was heading for the match-winning treble. But if Price doesn't save this, then at 24-14, things will look very bleak for him indeed. He's really got to play this on the forehand, hoping to pick the jack up and make 2 shots. Mustn't push Roy Garden up for another one. Oh, he's missed his line again. Well tight.
I don't think he knows what is happening. He's trying as hard as he can, but it just isn't there. 24-14, Zimbabwe 1 shot away from an unexpected gold medal.
And quite apart from the array of champions that Roy Garden has beaten on the way to the final, today will be a day of days for him. He's beaten Tony Allcock in the morning, John Price in the afternoon.
So is this to be the final end of the final match of the Lawn Bowls tournament here at Bukit Kiara? The 25th of the match. And the unsung and little known Roy Garden from Zimbabwe, needing just 1 shot to beat one of the world's great singles players. He's got a good opening ball in, and that immediately puts the pressure on Price, who isn't able to respond.
And that's a terrible bowl from John Price. It's a yard short and it's in the draw. He won't be able to play the forehand next time.
The home country's performance here in Kuala Lumpur, not as good as it was in Canada. They won 13 of the 24 medals last time round. This time round, Scotland with 1 gold, Northern Ireland with a gold and a bronze, England just 2 bronzes, and Wales the best with 2 bronzes, a silver in the men's pairs, and it looks very much like another silver here. No gold for the Welsh, unless John Price can do something dramatic with the 2 bowls he has left.
And the head getting worse with every bowl from John Price's point of view. His second bowl was even worse than his first. Fully 2 yards short.
He did have a heavy fall in the shower, which I'm sure he won't use as an excuse, but he's suffering a little bit with a painful arm and hand. I think the heat has definitely got to him today. He looks a very tired bowler this afternoon.
And that was his best bowl of the end so far, but it was stopped by his own short bowl. troubles of his own making. Well, unbelievably, it's 4 shots at the moment, it seems, to Roy Garden. He only needs one of them for victory, and John Price has 1 bowl left with which to save the match and keep his hopes alive of the gold medal he wanted so badly.
John Price has to save with this ball. Otherwise, it's another silver. An anxious, almost pained expression in his face, but he's through the gap. A remarkable final, a disappointing final, it has to be said, but certainly not for Roy Garden. A relative unknown has created one of the biggest shocks of the games, one of the biggest in lawn bowls for many years. He has beaten one of the world's great singles players, a sadly out of touch John Price, by 25-14. Wales take silver, but the gold, remarkably, for Zimbabwe.
The 2002 Commonwealth Games was a triumph for Manchester, who provided an impressive arena, and for England, who won 3 golds, a silver and a bronze, after a heavy investment programme by Sport England and a winter training programme supervised by the National Performance Director, Tony Allcock. It also brought success to South Africa's Bobby Donnelly, who came up against Ireland's world singles champion, Jeremy Henry, in the men's final, and for Scotland's world pairs champions, George Snedden and Alex Marshall, who faced England's Dean Morgan and Steve Fairish in the pairs final.
Can they add the Commonwealth title to their world title? Or are the young English pair going to win another gold on home soil?
Sorry.
It's not a good ball. Sailing harmlessly past. Words of encouragement from the team management. Alex Marshall been playing at the highest level of the game since his early 20s. Taking his time, making sure the ball is completely dry, the grip is good. Back ball required. Scotland holding the shot. Position they want.
Line outside then. Work now. Work! Work!
Couldn't quite get back. Scotland, of course, will have the last ball of the end.
Bench it, Farage, move. Just try and maybe throw in. Just try and lift that blue one down. Going in.
Yeah, I think he'll go for another shot now. He's got a back bowl in, Dougie. If you can turn George's front bowl in for a second, he'd be in a match-winning position.
Done it on his own.
And a brilliant weight of delivery by Alex there, just perfect weight. Past the front pole to the second shot.
Just to remind you, England lead 10-9, so Scotland need 2 to win. 1 would take us into an extra end. If England can score, they win gold. It looks close. Oh. Just when he needed a little bit of luck, he didn't get it.
And he hasn't improved the situation either, Doug. He's made it a lot more difficult. He's taking his closest bowl away. Problem for Alex here really is, does he go for a blocker now? Or does he try and cover out on the side where there are a few red balls? May go for the block, I think.
Terrific tension. England lead by 1. Scotland hold the 2 they need. He's in again. He's in again. Wow.
Well, personally, Doug, I don't think that's the best ball he's ever put down in his life. It's a great ball. It's a side toucher. But he's given a bigger target for Steve.
Didn't want it that close.
Steve gets a connection on that last ball. He'll get everything. He'll get the 3 blues away.
Wow. What a finish to the final. Steve Farish from Cumbria. His last ball. He could win the gold with us, or he could lose it. He's driven well all week. He's missed. Well, that was a terrific final, but in the end, it's the world champions. It's George Snedden and Alex Marshall who maintain this astonishing unbeaten record at the very highest level of the game. 23 matches without defeat in the World Championship in South Africa, and now here in Manchester at the Commonwealth Games. They pick up 3 in the final end. Scotland have won the gold. The final score, 12-10 to Scotland. England have had a great games, but Scotland have the gold in the men's pairs.
All the shots from now on in. Can't afford to drop another one. His opponent is on 20.
He's been winning the battle going in this direction. He's been picking up this line on the forehand better than Bobby Donnelly. He's been, Bobby's wasted at least 2 balls every end, trying to find a line on this four. Always been playing it too wide with his first and second delivery. It's a very good start by Jeremy Henry to a very long jack. Looks like he's missing with this one. Too pacey. The line was good. You just feel that Bobby's game's just gone off a little bit. He's pegging back with 1 ball, sometimes out of 4. I just keep expecting Jeremy to lift a 3 or a 4 at some stage.
There's a lot of tension out there at the moment. Very relaxed character normally, Jeremy Henry, but he's feeling it at the moment.
Well, I have to admit it's very, very hard for them. Jeremy, a guy who's normally Very, very laid back about things. Very good temperament.
Bobby Donnelly looking for just one good bowl now to clinch victory. He's got a great try here. Can he pick it up? Yes, he has. Surely that's the shot. Yes, it's 2 inches short of the jack. Jeremy Henry's got a good second bowl in, but that isn't good enough for him. He has to take the shot this end to stand any chance of winning the match, the championship and the gold medal. Great bowl there from Bobby Donnelly, who acknowledges it in traditional style. 1 to South Africa, a championship lie.
Well, it is, and Jeremy Henry's still got chances, of course. That's his own bowl. The blue one, he just wants to tap off that. I can't say it's easy because it's not. The forehand, if you go a little bit wide, goes straight on you. The backhand, well, the backhand might be the one to play with weight on this occasion. The danger is of pumping the short ball onto the jack and they both land in the ditch.
And of course it is a toucher, David. Now we get letters about touchers. Why do markers mark the bowl with chalk if they strike the jack? Well, this is a good indication. If the toucher goes into the ditch, it remains alive, and Jeremy Henry will be well aware of that. It's a risk he takes by playing weight on the backhand.
Well, it's the right shot to play because he really has to attack this. He knows if he can edge the ball off, he's got a chance. He's good at these big drives. Oh, just off it. And I would suggest that Bobby Donnelly would be well advised to start thinking of a blocker here. Didn't miss it by much, but a short ball in the way. Oh, that would make life very difficult. And remember, Bobby Donnelly's got 2 balls left.
Well, the more observant viewers may have noticed a blue bowl appear at the bottom of the picture just now. It was Jeremy Henry's bowl bouncing off the bank and coming back onto the green. Well, it hadn't touched the jack in its original course, so that has been removed. It was a dead bowl. So there are no really good back bowls at the moment. This is Bobby Donnelly going for that blocker, we think.
Oh, he certainly is.
Oh, this will only be halfway down the rink. He needs to bend a little more.
That's not going to do anything. The backhand's still open with that. The ball only has to travel 14 metres to be in play. And Jeremy Henry, well, Jez, you've no choice. You have to go again. It's not a happy position. It really is not.
I mean, the other problem, David, for Jeremy here is if he does hit the jack in pass, the bowl in passing, it's likely to lock in on Jeremy's nearest bowl and push that out.
It's a nightmare position.
It is.
It's so difficult. He has to go for it. Sometimes whenever you've got a situation like this, the decision's almost made for you because you know you have to play the shot with weight and just pray that you hit it and get a good result.
Yep. First of all, you've got to hit it. That's number one. And then you just cross your fingers and hope that the result goes your way. It's likely to go against him, I have to say. If the toucher goes into the ditch, he'll be shot against. If the toucher hits against his own second bowl, he will lose the shot. This is his last chance, his last hope of staying in the championship. He's assured the silver medal. He'd like the gold. Playing with much less weight, playing with controlled weight. If he gets this, it'll be a brilliant delivery, and it's very close. Oh, missed the jack by an inch, and Bobby Donnelly celebrates. His both arms went in the air then when he realised that Jeremy Henry, the young world champion, had missed in his attempt to steal the shot back. The 39-year-old Commonwealth Games debutant, Bobby Donnelly, wins the...
England's success in the 2002 Commonwealth Games at Manchester didn't just happen. Sport England has to be thanked for their contribution in supplying the money to make lots of things possible. Now, Tony Allcock, of course, has to be recognised for his contribution because he organised everything and did it so well. And, you know, a lot of hard work was put in. Gold medals just don't happen. They have to be won, and everything was done very, very professionally, and I think, you know, that's the way for the future.
We hope you've enjoyed the clips of action from the outdoor game. Part 2 is devoted to the development and growth of the indoor game, and in particular the World Indoor Singles Championship.
Hello again. In part 1 we looked at the outdoor event. In part 2 we're going to look at indoor bowls. I hope you enjoy what follows, a collection of some of the highlights of the World Indoor Singles Championships over 2 decades.
BBC Scotland pioneered a big annual event in Coatbridge that in 1979 turned into the World Indoor Bowls Championships, and there are no prizes for guessing who won it for the first 3 years. Unfortunately, we don't have any footage for 1979, but we can have a quick look at the 1980 and 1981 finals, when David Bryant played Philip Chock of Hong Kong and John Thomas of Wales, respectively.
I don't think he'll get back in time. No, he won't. The game's all over.
There it is. David Bryant. Clevedon, Avon, England, is capped by Philip Chock. A great final. David Bryant went ahead 15-3. A younger man from Hong Kong fought back from 15-3 to 15-13. And then it was 21-15 for David Bryant.
Short. Welsh bowls taking another wide line. Better weight this time, I think. And if he scores with this bowl, it'll be very difficult to beat. But she's down. Now that's a very, very good position for Bryant, and very difficult for Thomas, who's now in all sorts of trouble.
Yes, David Bryant, line game.
Will he drive with this bowl? No, he's wisely acted to use weight, but he hasn't got the green for the weight. Take one of his bowls behind the jack.
That's how it looks. David Bryant on either side of the jack. Those are the 2 shots he needs for victory. 19-17 he leads.
I would be surprised if Bryant goes anywhere near that jack. He won't want to broaden the head with that position, because there's very little for Thomas to hit if he chooses to use weight. Well, I knew he wouldn't go anywhere near the head, but he's wanting to stop the draw on this forehand. It'll be a hazard, but he can get inside it with a little running, can Thomas, if he chooses to play the shot. He's in a desperate position.
It is indeed. John Thomas, this 31-year-old Welshman, undefeated so far in the championship, including a win over David Bryant in the qualifying stages, has this ball to prolong the match. Has to save at least one. What must he be feeling? He needs to have the bowl of his life here.
It's all over.
He's missed. It's all over, and David Bryant, for the 3rd successive time, is the Embassy World Champion. 21-17 the score after a marvellous final, which looked to be going all Bryant's way right up until the 14th end, and then this fighting Welshman came right back into the game at Bryant under all sorts of pressure, but in the end David makes it the hat-trick, 21-17. So the trophy will be presented to the champion by Mrs. Jenny Collingridge, the wife of the personnel director of the sponsors WD and H.O. Wills. For the third time he comes up to receive the trophy and a cheque for £2,500 as the Embassy World Indoor Bowls champion for 1981.
As if to emphasise Scotland's hold on the sport, John Watson and Bob Sutherland were the next two winners of the World Indoor Singles title at Coatbridge. John Watson defeated an up-and-coming Irishman, Jim Baker, in the final.
He can draw a good second on the forehand.
He's got to save 2 shots to stay alive.
His only hope if he drives is making direct contact with the jack, and I'm not so sure he can do that. He's drawing.
So there's the pressure bowl to end all pressure bowls. To stay in this World Championship final, Ireland's Jim Baker, he's driving. He's got it, but it's not enough, and Scotland's John Watson lifts the trophy as the new world champion. He led from the start. Jim Baker never let him away, but in the end, Watson was just too good on the day, and we have a new world champion, John Watson of Scotland.
In 1983, Bob Sutherland, a real character and an ex-Rangers centre-half, beat a young Canadian, Bernie Gill.
Quite a useful ball there from Gill. Of Sutherland. Following him down on the backhand. Looking to improve on it. And he certainly does. That's the shot. Right behind the jack. Perfect line.
And again we see Sutherland in a match-winning position. That's the one he wants for victory. And if there is a slight danger that Bob Sutherland's concentration should slip, there can be absolutely no chance at all of Bernie Gill having a lapse of concentration. He knows he'll have to really concentrate as hard as he can with every wood. What a great ball. Again we see the young Canadian bowling a great wood under a great deal of pressure. Match against him now. And another toucher from the Canadian.
Well, he's certainly not giving up, David. He hasn't played at all badly. It's just been Bob Sutherland's consistency and sheer brilliance at times that has opened this gap. So back goes Bob Sutherland. He has the knowledge, of course, that he's got a very close second. He's not going to lose many, and there's an old saying, you don't go far on singles. So as long as Bob can keep pegging Bernie down to singles, he must have a loose end in a moment to allow Bob to run out. We've got a good line here. He could fall off his own bow for shot. No, he just rocks it, falls back.
And this final continuing as it began with some very consistent play from both players. It's Gill who holds shot at the moment, but a slight problem for him. He mustn't turn his own bowl over and move the jack, because if so, he gives the game away. But I'm sure he'll be anxious to get another shot in here.
Well, of course, he's got to be looking for more than one shot. Takes a long time in singles. Well, he's well played. Well, had he have missed his own bowl, he might have scored, but his own bowl stopped him going in. He tipped it up, it rocked back, pushed him back down the green, and like he holds one shot.
But it doesn't make it any easier for Sutherland. Before that last delivery of Gill, there was a good chance on the backhand for Bob Sutherland, but his access to the head has been barred on the backhand. Forehand delivery.
Oh, he looks to be close for this. If he gets back, he's got it.
Yes, that's it.
And that absolutely superb delivery from Bob Sutherland must be the match winner. He's tucked the jack around the corner. One shot he lies, he might even be two here. He doesn't need to, of course, but it's always useful to have two, just in case your opponent takes the one out.
Well, it's the position as well, David, isn't it? I mean, what is Bernie going to do? Any movement on the jack, it must come back to Bob's back bow. It's difficult to see what he can play.
And with only one wood left, it has to be a magnificent wood. He must be able to find a way of getting in there. He's studying it from every possible angle. 6 woods in the head, and look how close they are. The furthest wood is only some 14 inches away from the jack.
Well, he's driving. He's driving. He's cutting away. It's all over. It's all over.
Well, he's missed, and Bob Sutherland's arms go in the air. The crowd give the cheer of a large football crowd. They're very excited about the win of their local man, the Scottish champion. Bob Sutherland's family very excited about it too. And Bob Sutherland, the 1983 World Embassy Indoor Singles Champion.
Bad ball indeed, especially at this stage of the game. Bransky must...
In 1985, the title went to Wales for the first time when Terry Sullivan defeated Israel's Cecil Bransky in the final.
Playing his forehand. Again, rather surprising. He switched the backhand and was doing rather well. He was bowling good weight on the backhand. He only had to increase his green. In this direction, whilst both these players have been playing forehand, it's been Terry Sullivan that's been coming out on top. And there he's got it.
Well, that sets him up for a match-winning end. That's the position that every bowler likes to see his bowl in. Can hardly be beaten now. I feel it'll take 2 bowls to beat this excellent shot. And Bransky must get close to stop Terry Sullivan scoring 3 on this end. Wonderful chance for Sullivan.
Important ball again for Sullivan. Can he get another one in? Overweighted. Too much.
It's not bad. The applause from the crowd suggesting that they have spotted that if the jack should spring, it's a good positional bowl.
Yes, any touch on the bowl to send the jack back to that wood, but I feel it was a mistake. And as much as he wasn't trying to get it there, he was trying to draw another shot. He realised that it was a great opportunity to score 3 shots and win the game. Looks as if he's holding 2, but I'm surely Cecil Bransky will draw something closer than that last bowl. He's gone on his backhand. This is the hand I feel that he's been playing well. And he draws straight onto the bow. The jack is sprung. And I have the feeling that it may be 2 to blue, which if it is, if Terry Sullivan can draw this last one, he will have a match line.
2 it is. 2 shots to Sullivan. In a way, Bransky's improved it for himself. He's given him room to draw with his last bowl, but he's given Sullivan the chance of game, which wasn't there before. Sullivan needs this on top to really turn the screw.
Can he clear the front? Can he get round it? He can. Well, it's fallen back. Yes, it's in. Well, here we have a match-winning situation. Now, what is Sasselbrowski going to do? He has played nothing on the forehand side of the rink. I think that last bowl, toppling over and partly blocking the forehand, will make him play the backhand. And in my opinion, he's been playing this backhand far better than he gives himself credit for. He's been bowling good weight on this backhand, as long as he grasses it. And he's pushed it out. Looks heavy though. Shorty's pushed that bowl. Shorty's pushed it.
Well, Sullivan. Terry Sullivan has done it. Sasselbrowski's last ball wasn't good enough. And Terry Sullivan is the Embassy World Indoor Champion with 3 shots to make it 21-18. A marvellous final. Anybody's game right until the very last end. But for the first time, Wales have the World Indoor Champion, and Terry Sullivan has added that title to his UK title.
The next 2 years saw Tony Allcock at his best, as he became the second Englishman to win the title.
But he would have widened the target. He would have opened it out. As it is, it's just as difficult as it was before. Now, Tony will not want another shot. He will surely put one behind. Scotland's second and third deliveries almost identical. Played just below the weight that he required to open up his target. The World Singles Championship has never been won by an overseas player. Scotland's chances of changing that now look slim, and the chances of Tony Allcock to become the second Englishman to win the title are looking very rosy indeed. The last Englishman to win the world singles title was David Bryant back in 1981. Since then it's been won by 2 Scotsmen, John Watson and Bob Sutherland, an Irishman, Jim Baker, and last year by a Welshman, Terry Sullivan. Signs are that he's going to fire. No, not firing. Trying that controlled weight he tried before. He's very close. Can he fall in? Yes! Oh! He fell in, touched the jack. The jack went to Tony Allcock's bowl. That was an amazing last bowl from Phil Scotland. I think it was to be said he deserved to get the shot with it. But don't let's take it away from young Tony Allcock. He's played well throughout the week and fully deserves the finest honour in the game. Winner of the 1986 Embassy World Championship. But look how near Scotland went.
Championship-winning ball with this, his last delivery of the end.
Hugh Duff, a young Scot, had shown what he could do against David Bryant in the previous year's semi-finals. But when the event moved for 1 year only to London's Alexandra Palace, Duff came into his own. In a best-of-9 sets final, Duff leads Wyn Richards by 4-1, and it's all square, 4-all, in the 6th set.
He's got it. It's 3 shots. That's the championship winning lie.
And what a handsome lie it is. Quite typical of this final. Wyn Richards has got 3 bowls there within 15 inches of the jack, but Hugh Duff holds 3 shots with 3 within 6 inches.
So it all depends on this ball from Wyn Richards. I don't think it's there. It isn't. It's all over. 5 sets to 1. A quite marvellous display of bowling by this 24-year-old from Auchinleck in Ayrshire, the youngest ever world singles champion, indoor or out.
Willie Wood had suffered defeat in the World Outdoor Singles Championship in 1988, but he was confident of success indoors in 1989. In the final, he came up against a young Scotsman, Richard Corsie, who took the first 4 sets and raced into a 5-0 lead in the 5th.
Number 1 seed next season, defending the title.
I'm sure deep down Richard is really sorry for Willie, the way things are turning out, but he's doing the right thing. Professional, clinical approach right to the end. He knows he really can't afford to open a door for Willie.
That's the trophy, and there's a little matter of £18,000 for the winner, £10,000 for the runner-up. Really not driving as might have been expected. Playing a difficult timing shot. May have given himself a chance for a drive with that bow.
And Richard very wisely not coming anywhere near these 2 blue balls. Well, it's not a bad blocker.
It's close this time. No, just short of the object. Richard Corsie needing the 2 shots he requires for the championship, putting in another block. Convinced that Willie will drive this time.
Well, the way Willie's drawing, you can't, I think, Jimmy, put his life in getting within 6 inches. He'll have to play with weight. Only needs to take 1 out to stay alive, of course. He could get half of his own red ball, take 1 out.
Is this going to be the last bowl of the 1989 championship with weight? It's gone. And the 22-year-old postman from Edinburgh is not only the 1989 World Indoor Singles champion, is the youngest ever. His opponent, Willie Wood. Poor Willie, the third time he's lost a world title at the very last stage of the finals. But all credit to this young man. He's played beautifully throughout the week. He's performed immaculately in the final. He's the champion.
1990 was the year that Welshman John Price, often introduced in those days as the man who has so far failed to fulfil his potential, took on Australia's professional tennis coach and former Aussie rules footballer Ian Shuback in the final.
Still not the killer.
No, there's still room for Ian Shuback in normal circumstances, but these aren't normal circumstances with the tension of the closing stages of a World Championship final. Not an easy job to draw within about 15 inches of the jack.
Well, just as Jimmy Davidson was saying, it's a devil of a job to get that within 15 inches of the jack with that sort of pressure, but Ian Shuback is the man capable of doing it. Is this the winner from Price? Oh! He looks to the hands, he clenches his fist, he does a little dance. Have you ever seen John Price get so excited?
He's punching like a piston.
He must have had some help.
We were talking about how difficult it was to draw in these circumstances. It looks well nigh impossible now, David. I think with his third bowl at the end, Ian's got to open something up.
Ian Shuback has 2 bowls with which to work. 2 chances to save the championship. His heart must have sank when he saw that great drawing bowl homing in on the jack. Finalist in the pairs, finalist in the singles. Is he going to be runner-up in both?
Looks like he's winding up for a drive.
And you know, he's not improved it. He's just got a single bowl target to hit with his next bowl. The only thing he has done, Jimmy, is to put some back bowls in.
Yes, indeed, David. He's got the possibility of punching the jack through. He's got the best back position, and you can bet your life that John Price will try to get in a back bowl to cover those.
When Shuback saw he'd missed his target, he was ushering those bowls through, pushing them through. Price then, this is perfect. This is a good back bowl. It's in between the 2 red ones. It's the deepest back bowl. It is the best bowl on the green. Two shots there in the head to John Price, but he's also got the best back now. And the big Welsh contingent in this crowd delighted at the performance of John, including his mum and dad, Harry and Margaret. They can't believe it. They've been firm supporters of John ever since Harry taught him to play at the age of 13. And now he's on the point of becoming the world champion.
Ian Shuback, last bowl of the end, the bowl to save the championship, encouraged by applause from the crowd. Weighed up all the angles. He'll finish up, I think, trying to play a timing shot to remove both.
And Price, behind the screen, daren't look at what Ian Shuback is about to do. Shuback, this to save the championship. The shot to John Price, the stadium erupts, the celebrations are about to begin. The Welshman John Price, who has threatened to win one of the big championships, has finally done it. He is the world indoor champion, beating Ian Shuback by 3 sets to 2.
And there's a lot of emotion around from his parents, from John himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, your new 9th Embassy champion.
(1991), Shuback gets to the final again, and this time he faces Richard Corsie.
Well, this will decide whether he feels he's shot or not. Is he going to reach? I reckon he just airs a little bit on the side of caution, does he? Brilliant! That's a magic ball.
What an audacious shot. 9 bowlers out of 10, 99 bowlers out of 100 would have stayed well away from that. He has tried to dominate. Corsie, of course, has contested him every inch of the way.
What do you mean, something like this, David? Absolutely brilliant. And who was the shot?
Nobody has asked the question yet, but Dave Higgs knows that any minute somebody's going to pop the question. Well, if you don't know, says Ian Shuback, who does? And Shuback there just asked for permission to visit the head. The recommendations are that the players do not visit the head until each has delivered 2 bowls. But at this stage of a world final, with the first prize of £22,500 at stake, and with Richard Corsie needing just 1 for victory, who can blame him for wanting to see it at close quarters?
Well, Shuback obviously would like to just drop out the Corsie ball to take any doubt at all about who's shot. So he's playing his forehand. Just with enough running, try and just turn that red ball out of the head and stay for 2 to possibly take this set. And he's not far off doing it. If he just got to touch it, can he roll it? Brilliant!
Oh no! For half a second, Ian Shuback held not one shot but two. The bowls readjusted their position, and that's hard to bear. Ian Shuback, who carries his towel everywhere, threw it at the marker, Dave Higgs, but believe me, he's not throwing in the towel.
And Corsie looking to cover that area just to the left of the jack and behind the jack. He's doing it. That's a great ball.
The red shot of Richard Corsie still holding the shot. That's a championship winning lie. And Ian Shuback, who tried such a brave shot with his second delivery, deserved to get the shot and failed, has two more bowls left before he surrenders. And I can tell you that on the back of Ian Shuback's visiting card is the legend, as follows. It says, "Failure will never overtake you if your determination to succeed is strong enough." This man's motto.
And how he's proving it in this particular match. Never beaten until the last ball is bowled. Now he wants a similar ball now to his previous. This and one other ball left to stay in the championship. He's got to change it. So just over the weight. Could be wide. Can he get back in time? Could squeeze it. Could get the shot ball out. Brilliant again, and I think he's got it this time.
Well, he's made the shot. With a little more luck, he could have made two for the set. But by the time Dave Higgs has a look at this and signals, I'm sure he'll be signalling a blue shot. Yes, there it is. So the applause there, causing Corsie to delay just a little before bowling this, his third delivery of the end. Plenty of room to draw it, we think. Is he up? You could cut the tension with a knife here at the Preston Guildhall. Ian Shuback holding one shot. He has a bowl to come. He could make it two. That would set up a set lie. But of course, on this end, Richard Corsie will have the last laugh. He has the final delivery.
Well, now. Tension's building up. Last ball from Shuback. Ideally, could do with a front toucher, so that if Corsie has to drive, the toucher and the jack will go in the ditch. So, how quiet it's gone. Waiting for this ball, and they'll follow it all the way down. So he's got it.
Has it stopped in time? We can't tell from Ian Shuback's face. And Richard Corsie has asked Dave Higgs for his opinion. Well, come along, Mr. Higgs.
What do you think? Well, we can give you just as good a picture of the head as he has. One and a measure. What do you think at home? Is that bowl at the bottom of the picture in the count? Does it give Ian Shuback a set-winning lie? Can Corsie draw a bowl to within 18 inches to win the championship? Richard Corsie, arms in the air, he's celebrating. He was given the chance to draw within 18 inches for the championship. He's done it. One shot to the young Scot. Congratulations from Ian Shuback. Richard Corsie has won the World Indoor Singles title for the second time.
Next up comes Ian Shuback's finest hour. Australians had traditionally struggled to show their form on the UK's indoor carpets. But Shuey, the true professional, became the first overseas player to win the title. We joined the final with Shuey leading John Price 2-1 and by 5 shots to 4 in the 4th set.
Cut and thrust.
Shot below in relation to Jack High, please.
Slightly past Jack High.
And my bowl, how far through is it now?
13, 14 inches.
Yeah, look at this. Just nicely up to the ball, onto the ball, turn it out. What an amazing game this is. Each and every ball beating the previous one. Now we're going to see it again from Shuback. Can he reach? The line is absolutely perfect. Oh, can he run? I just don't think so. I think it's still one to Price.
Yes, one to the Welshman, and Shuback was actually looking for 2 shots if he'd got another foot of running. He's picking that jack up and trailing it to his own bow. And I would suggest here, Mal, that John Price needs another one in there, and quick.
Well, he had a good look at the head. He's got really 2 chances. If he plays the forehand and turns the jack just over to these 2 weighty red balls, and of course he would have a set lie. I just add another one and cover that shot ball so that Shuey can't use it as a rest on the backhand. But it's forehand. Looking to trail that jack if he can. Just a foot. Has he got the strength? Oh, he's not going to turn Shuey in, is he? He's turned him in. He's given the shot away.
Well, we're not sure about that yet. We need confirmation. Oh, yes, John Price says it's 1 down. He's given the shot away. And this is how he did it. Another foot of running, he'd have been round that corner, he'd have been trailing that jack. Bit unfortunate.
Yes, he didn't like that. He didn't want to give up Shuey opportunities. No free throws. But Shuey now, I'm sure will still play the backhand, try and rest the red ball just jack high there. But a match lie.
Has he got enough weight? That's not in. But what a position. Just wait until I bowl my next bowl, says Ian Shuback. Got a match shot on then. Unless John Price can, in the meantime, tuck the jack round the corner.
Really needs a big one here.
This is a big ball. This is the one. You can give him the set lie to stay in this match. Has he got the weight? He's not up. He's not up again. Oh, and he's left the gap open there for Shuey. Will he take this opportunity? He's only got to sit the John Price ball out. And he is then the 1992 World Singles Champion.
Is this going to be the St. David's Day massacre as far as John Price is concerned? Has he played his final delivery in the 1992 World Indoor Singles Final? The next bowl will answer that question. Price can hardly look anywhere but at the head. Shuback, a backhand delivery with weight, an attacking bowl to turn the red bowl out for game, set and match. It's not a kangaroo, it's Shuback. He's the world champion at last after 3 finals. He reverses the result of the 1990 final, turning his own bowl in there for 2 shots. League competition.
Richard Corsie again, and he's up against another Scot, Jim McCann, a carpet layer, who sucked a carpet tack throughout his campaign and looked for all the world as if he'd come to lay a carpet, not to deliver bowls on one.
It'll be interesting to find out whether, in fact, Corsie is 2 or only 1. Marker looks like he's signalling 2. I think we may see some fireworks. He prefers the forehand drive of Jim McCann, and the shot is on the forehand with weight. But if he draws it, he's only got to draw it 6 inches, and he's got a set lie. But I think he's tight.
There's not a lot in that second shot. Corsie's had a good look at it, and although David McCloy did signal 2, it's important to realise it's only his opinion. He hasn't measured it. That's merely what his eye tells him. What does McCann's eye tell him?
This is the back covering ball from Richard Corsie, and that's a good ball. That is a very, very good ball. Fair play position should the jack be sprung towards the ditch.
The man who's won the hearts of not only the large crowds here at the Guildhall, but of millions of television viewers this week. Goes back to the mat with 1 bowl left to save his hopes in the championship. And Richard Corsie, he's done his bit. He's built up a match and championship lie. McCann firing on the forehand. Got it! And he's got the shot out of that, you know. There's a lot of rubbish in the ditch. Some bowls went off the rink. Great strike that, Mal.
Absolutely first class. Look at this, off his forehand, loves the forehand. Bang! Pushes that blue ball in with the toucher, the red ball toucher. Keeps pushing the blue ball towards the jack in the ditch. And I think he's laid one. And it's signalled by the umpire and marker that it is one. Brilliant.
Corsie, of course, has the final bowl of the end. He's going to strike that bowl off for the championship. Got it! What a way to win the world title! The man who is known for his drawing ability, in the end, used firm tactics, a strike, taking a single bowl off the green for 2 shots, and those 2 shots give Richard Corsie the set, the match, and the championship. The World Championship for the 3rd time, and a first prize of £24,000.
Scots-born Andy Thomson had dominated English bowls since he moved south in the early 80s, but he had never shown his true form in the world event. 1994 was his year.
Could that be the winner? Brilliant.
About 2.5 inches off the jack.
Great pressure bowling there by Richard Corsie.
He's done it. Every bowl of this end taking the shot in turn. First it was set point to Corsie, then match point to Thomson, then set point to Corsie, and now here's a championship lie being set up by Thomson, stroking that jack from the orange bowl to the blue bowl. Is that enough? Strong stuff from Corsie here, John.
It's not a good position. It's a very difficult hit for him. He looks as though he's making for the drive, trying to destroy the end.
And that drive was 18 inches wide of its target. More force than finesse to that. Corsie, normally deadly accurate with that kind of shot. Missing the head completely.
I don't think Andy Thomson can improve the head for himself by drawing into it. I think we could see a blocking ball trying to stop the drive of Richard Corsie.
Well, the alternative to a blocker is one round the back. Of course, he's going to hit this. It's probably going to go dead. If it stays on the rink, the position now with Thomson. And Richard Corsie has just one bowl to come. The man who won the world title in 89, 91 and 93 has battled so well in this final, came back after losing the first 2 sets, but now it could all be slipping away from him. It was a great bowl from Corsie. He hit his target, took everything out except the shot bowl of Andy Thomson. And Andy Thomson jumped a mile high. The man who was beginning to feel he could never win a major competition on this portable rink has finally banished that hoodoo. Andy Thomson, the Anglo-Scot from New Eltham in London, is the new world champion, and doesn't he deserve it? John, tremendous display from Andy Thomson, winning those first two sets.
Well, he got off to a much better start today. Now that's settled him down. He really got into the game. Richard had to play well to get back into the game, and that's how well Andy feels. He knows he's world champion.
A repeat of last year's final, but this time it was Richard Corsie who was tipped to win it. After all, he'd won it in 1989, 1991 and 1993, and this, of course, was the next odd year. But the final was disappointing.
Edge the jack. Well, doesn't move the jack, but he is the shot.
Corsie already on the mat. Seems to be bowling rather more quickly than usual. A hurried pace. He's got a good bowl though. Oh, well played. Great effort from the young Scot. 28-year-old Richard Corsie, the Commonwealth Games champion, not giving up without a fight. Many said it was his turn this year, and this is Corsie's shot. Taking out, an attempt to take out the orange bowl, takes the jack instead, and sees it go to an orange bowl. Many said that it was Corsie's turn to win the title this year. He won in 89, 91 and 93. This being an odd year, sequence was there for the taking. Thomson, though, has dug his heels in.
That's the forehand looking for the second shot. If he does that, again he's got a match lie. The line is absolutely perfect. He's willing it on, not hard enough. 6 inches short of where he wanted to be.
What a good line.
And with where it is, looking for the solid plant. Onto his own short blue ball. Full contact on the Thomson ball. Oh, he's clipped it.
And Corsie unlucky to get that at an angle, and that's why he asked the question in the first place, who has got the third shot? That was the question. And the reason is, if I take my own bowl out, am I losing the match? The marker said he favoured the blue. Corsie must have accepted that, and he had a good chance to have a look at it at close quarters for himself. Decided to take the risk, took out his own nearest bowl. Has he given the match away? And what an incredible way to go out. Nobody would have predicted that. Richard Corsie taking a bit of a risk with his final delivery. He thought he was safe even if he took his nearest bowl out. The measure proved otherwise. The two shots went to Andy Thomson, and would you believe it, it's Andy Thomson in straight sets in the final. Andy Thomson retains his world indoor singles title and takes the cheque for £26,000.
From a famous bowls dynasty, his mother and father had both won World and Commonwealth Games titles. David Gourlay Jr. was born to play bowls, and he was highly respected in Scotland before he made his mark on the portable rink. Nevertheless, he was an unseeded player in the 1996 championships.
He could come off that wing bowl. That's what he was looking for. Brilliant. Well, David Gourlay doing his best to make the slogan ring true. We saw him put his foot against that wing orange bowl, as much as to say, if I come off that, I can get it. Played it to perfection. Half bowl, in it comes. Out goes the orange. It's 2 to Gourlay.
Here's a difficult shot for Huey now. Narrow channel in there now.
He can still make 2 of it if he collects the jack. Looks a bit wide. Well, that hand just won't bend with any weight. And Hugh Duff has to concede 2 shots, and things getting to look very rosy now for David Gourlay Jr., the man from Anbank, who plays for Prestwick.
A bit of over-determination there. Chance for Hugh to make amends. He's got to make this one count.
Good forehand draw. Looking good. Looks calm and collected, does Hugh Duff. But the pressure was on. Duff now holding shot. David Gourlay. This looks good. Very good. That's number 1.
Shot ball's about 3 inches. Your ball's just under 5 inches.
The dimensions there defining the difference between success and failure. 3 inches, David Gourlay. Just over 5 inches, Hugh Duff. And now, another chance for David Gourlay Jr. to make 2 shots for a match-winning lie. 2 shots he needs for the title and the £27,000 first prize. Fingers crossed, nails being bitten. Can he do it?
Well, he knows the weight to play. He's drawn within inches with his last. Changed his hands, trying to rest that back orange ball. He's on the way. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Everyone here in a packed Preston Guildhall thrilling to the skill of David Gourlay Jr. and an outstanding example of sportsmanship as Hugh Duff shook his hand after that brilliant delivery. 2 shots David Gourlay Jr. lays. If they stay there, David Gourlay will be the world champion, and for the first time an unseeded player will win the title.
Well, their bowling skills and their attitude on the rink, you make them a great advert for our game.
Quiet, please.
Brilliant final.
Thank you.
The moment of truth for Hugh Duff.
Duff made up for his defeat in that final by winning the title in 1997. Then, in 1998, his fellow Scot, Paul Foster, a 100-to-1 outsider, met England's Mr. Dependable, Mervyn King, in the final.
And tie things up at 2 sets all. Norfolk supporters there, who included Mervyn's 8-year-old son, Sam. Well, what about that? Oh! That looked like the match winner. A dead-length toucher. Watch how he turns beautifully to the jack, falls over with the bias and pushes the jack to King's bowl.
And he shouldn't be too disappointed with that, because the head was building up nicely for Mervyn King. It certainly should have stopped Mervyn winning the set.
Waiting for the winner of this match, the Waterford Crystal Trophy. Will it belong to the 24-year-old Scot? King, on the backhand, has to be careful. Content to play a positional bowl. That's pretty good. But that stops Foster playing any weight, John, but a backhand draw could do the trick.
He doesn't need any weight, David. It's one of his perfect draws. On the backhand, just rolls that shot yellow ball down.
Looking good. He's awfully close with this. Yes! And the sort of roar you might expect from a football match rather than a bowls encounter greets this fantastic possible match-winning shot from Paul Foster. The young man who has shown wonderful drawing skill all week, but has also shown that he can play the shots. That was a beautifully judged running bowl to take out the Mervyn King shot. It's 2 shots now to Paul Foster, and all the fingers are crossed here as Mervyn King attempts to save the match. He's got a good line. What about his weight? He's overweight. He's going to sail by. The new champion of the world. The unseeded player, 100-1 outsider at the beginning of the week. From Troon. Plays for the Irvine Bowls Club. It's Paul Foster who deservedly wins the set by 7 shots to 4, wins the game by 3 sets to 1, and will take the trophy. He's looking at it, he knows.
1999, and a brand new venue for the World Championships, Potter's Leisure Resort near Great Yarmouth. Once again it was an all-Scottish final. Alex Marshall playing against the world's #1, David Gourlay.
Cut it to 1 though, and that's important.
Never afraid to change his hand, Tatty Marshall. Equally good on both sides. It's a perfect rink this for good bowlers. And just look at this man. Boy, he's unreal, that's 72.
1. Well, Dave Higgs, the marker from the Midlothian Club in Dalkeith, doesn't agree. He thinks it's just the 1 for the moment. Gourlay has a good little attacking shot into the pocket, move the jack, score 2 shots.
Didn't want to touch the edge of the ball. Oh, through the hole. Would you believe that? think David Gourlay will feel the world's turning against him. I think Alex quitting the fact that it's only one. It looks like two to me. Well, it's quite possible he could have a set lie. That's where he wants the jack. There it is. No more than just to pick that jack up to there. And you count 1, 2, 3. The bowler delivers 4 shots.
Marshall then with that chance of a delicate trail. Didn't send it. A bit overcautious. And David Gourlay weighing up the options here. That bowl of Marshall makes things difficult for him on the forehand. Is there a backhand shot on for him, Mal, with weight?
Certainly could be. He could play it on the backhand onto his own yellow ball there. If he drives it onto the jack, and this is the last ball at the end, jack comes through here. Look at this. Could get 3 out of this. Doesn't want to turn his own ball out and go through the hole. He could give the match to Alex Marshall.
Well, no change after that reshuffle. Still 1 and a possible measure for 2. Marshall takes the 1 out by agreement. Gourlay unprepared to concede 2. Remember the marker, Dave Higgs, part of a Scottish trio on the green at the moment, did say that he felt the yellow was the closer of these 2. Umpire Brian Daly will tell us. The ball that he knocks out will be the one he awards the measure to.
It's a close one, this.
Yes, the thicker touch on the red ball. It was 2 shots to Alex Marshall. Marshall, the man from East Lothian, leads 5-0 in the 3rd set and by 2 sets to 0. Diane Marshall, formerly Diane Grindley, married Alex about 8 months ago. No wonder she can smile. Alex on the brink of a 3 sets victory.
Well, Alex Marshall is certainly in a hurry. 2 sets to love and 5-0 in this, the 3rd set. But this man, David Gourlay, never a quitter. He'll battle right to the end.
Another great bowl here from Marshall. Marshall, 31 years of age, a storeman and dispatch operative at a firm of bowls manufacturers. If he dispatches the bowls as well at work as he does here on the portable rink, he's a good un.
No, it's a quarter of an inch off the jack.
Oh, plenty of room to draw another shot. This man is absolutely unreal. Changes his hand, looking for the back ball of David Gourlay to lay a match lie. And he bend.
Strange to think that Marshall has played in only 2 World Championships before, and played 3 games in total in World Championships, winning just 1 of them. But here he is on the brink of a tremendous victory. Won the World Pairs title, indoors and out. This would be his first single success.
Well, another opportunity for Alex Marshall to put the seal on this match. Line 1, looking for a second shot, and there'll be some pressure on that man there.
In fact, that bowl behind the jack belonging to David Gourlay can actually help Marshall if he's playing the forehand.
Well, he's only got to lose 18 inches off his last delivery. He's reaching with this. I think this could be the 2 he requires. Sniggle by. He's done it. Oh, brilliant display. Absolutely first-class delivery there from this man, Alex Marshall. Well, Mr. Gourlay, the match is against you. I think we'll see some power.
And are we looking at the next world champion? Alex Marshall. Formerly of the Bainfield Club, moved last year to East Lothian. His mum there in pink. That's Rena, Alex's mum. And deserves a bit of refreshment. He's done all the work this afternoon. He's made all the running, won the first 2 sets at a canter, and now 5-0 up in the 3rd set, holding 2 shots. Let's wait to see what happens, he says. 1 bowl to come from David Gourlay. David Gourlay's hopes depend entirely on this bowl.
And with weight.
And David Gourlay, an on-target strike, but couldn't quite get through that gap between the 2 front bowls. He was very, very close. But it's 2 shots to Alex Marshall. The 31-year-old from East Lothian is the new world champion. His family is celebrating, he's celebrating, and all of Scotland will be celebrating. Of course, it had to be a Scottish winner.
Just for a change in Millennium Year, an all-Welsh final. John Price, the champion 10 years before, taking on Robert Weale.
Well, he hasn't pushed this one. And he knows that's a missed opportunity.
Tension getting to both players now. Not a really good ball delivered on this end as yet.
Robert moving on to the forehand. Better percentage shot there. Ball to come off, ball to rest. Jack to touch. 2 or 3 chances playing this.